Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another great video game ideas not used video, GBGIU for short. As always, I'm Andre, and it is a pleasure to be able to share my thoughts with you. Firstly, this is a disclaimer that I'm putting in this video. I was on Bear's one of Bear's Rant videos with several other people in the gaming community that I usually converse and talk with, and I am not separating myself from my responsibility in that podcast. I played a part in it. So any negative reception from that video also falls on me as well because I was a part of it. That being said, there were a few things that were said during that podcast that I, one, wasn't aware of, and two, there were a couple things I just didn't have the chance to respond to the way I would have liked. So, this is just to show you guys that we can all have disagreeing opinions, and we do express them, everybody in their individual way. While I did not agree with how it is, like I call him a buddy, how my buddy Alex kind of came off, that was his opinion, that he has his right to say what he wants to say. I don't have to agree with it though. Just like I feel like I was more middle of the road where everybody else was kind of already on their dedicated side of the argument that they felt passionate about, and that's just how that went. Plus, I was up and down a couple times away from my computer doing the recording of the podcast, so there were definitely a couple things I didn't get to address that I would have. Firstly, I got to call out, I think, 3 other members of that podcast. That would be Alex Van Dan, Active Sin, Coupons Tribes, and Mega Gamer Man. You guys know I'm cool with all of you, but there was a point of contention in that podcast where I kind of have to disagree with you guys solely on the way it sounded, what you intended to say, which is to tell people that they cannot enjoy having only a Wii U and getting the products that are provided on the Wii U. That would be the same as anyone else telling a Nintendo fan that they can't enjoy Nintendo and solely Nintendo, which we all know. It's true that there are people who can enjoy Nintendo and solely Nintendo. I'm not one of those people, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have the right to tell those people that they can't enjoy what they have and they can't play what they have without me telling them that they can't play it and enjoy it solely. It would be the same way as if it was just a person that's solely for Microsoft or solely for Sony. And you guys know I've made my videos about this. I don't like people saying those things. I don't like people pushing their own preferences on other people, and that was how that came off. I'm not saying that's how you meant it, but that was how it came off. Secondly, I know I was away for this point, and I think Alex was the one that brought it up, and that the move back to cartridge technology would be a bad move. Sorry, my throat's dried out. That probably would not actually be a bad move because of the fact that dedicated storage technology, physical storage technology, has come to the point where it can be so tiny, but have a mass load of space. Like, just for example, that there are micro SD cards out now that are 128 gigabytes, but a physical disc for Blu-ray, I think, can only go up to about 50 gigabytes of memory. Now, if Nintendo went back to this storage format, they went back to cartridges, yes, it would be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, it would probably be a bit more safe for the game data, and it could probably last much longer. I mean, that would literally mean wiping out backwards compatibility with physical products from the Wii U. But at the same time, I don't think as many people would care as much if they could just keep what they already have and play on it, and then enjoy the next Nintendo system or whatever, if that's what the NX is, if it's a home console. I'm severely doubting that it is just a home console, but that's me personally. But you also have to look at the fact that they've been keeping up with cartridge format anyway with their handheld devices. So I don't see that to be a problem, seeing as now 3DS games hold capacity either equal to or higher than that of an HD DVD, which I think was 8 gigabytes. So it's not a bad move necessarily. It is a more expensive one, I will say that. It would probably be a little bit more expensive, and it's not like they would be using SD as their as their prototype. They would have, I mean, they could probably use some sort of locked form of the SD format, which would still be flash memory, but I can't say for sure that's what they would do, because they probably want to make it proprietary to make it harder to pirate. But that's a separate issue for another time. Now, with the Splatoon issues, people have beaten that back and forth. I've beaten it back and forth. I didn't agree with Nagami's reasoning as to why his voice chat wasn't in the game. I got angry, agitated. I did my video about it. I kind of got over it. And I'm still going to get the game. I'm still going to have it before all of the stuff is implemented in the game. But guys, we gotta kind of hold back on insulting people, because if we're going to be doing that, then we're going to be no better than the people that we said were insulting us for no reason. So we kind of got to chill back on that. I understand it's your opinion and you wanted to express it your way. And I know you don't give a damn if people dislike how you express your opinion, which is why I can get along with you. But in giving that opinion, wow. See, I'm not all here right now. In giving that opinion, and we're expressing that in a public forum, as you also know, that we are susceptible to the opinions of others, and that includes myself. So that's why I say I'm not trying to absolve myself of my responsibility in that podcast. Is I was a part of it, and I did agree with a lot of what was said. Maybe not with the way it was said, but I did agree with a lot of what was said. So we all have our own way of doing things. But on that issue, I don't think in Splatoon, as I've said, I don't think it actually needs voice chat. I do think it needs a communication system implemented so that, you could give up a quick warning or something that other people can see. But I do think that voice chat would definitely, it would help the game. It wouldn't hurt the game if it's optional. You can literally completely turn it off so that you can't hear anyone and you can't talk to anyone. But with that, I still think that there would need to be like a textual communication system where you could put together like how Smash Brothers was, where you could put together messages for taunts. I mean, I don't necessarily like that, but at least something like that would be helpful to communicating to your teammates. Oh, I need help. I'm cornered, or I'm being covered with ink or something like that. Just something to draw attention. Because even though the gamepad can kind of show you where everyone is, it doesn't show you the exact thing that's happening. At least from what I would look down at the gamepad, I'd see my teammates huddled up, and I would try to go to where my teammates are so that I don't get singled out, which actually works out a lot better when you play it that way. But there are people who aren't as adept to handling the gamepad as it has been shown, and those people would benefit from being able to use voice chat. I mean, the microphone's already built into the daggone gamepad anyway, so I feel like Nintendo should make use of it. But in saying that, we're not, we don't know what is coming of the DNA partnership. It could all possibly, that could all literally be possibly tied into like a cross game chat functionality that will allow us to chat with our friends, and then we can probably completely move on from this issue because this stuff is so polarizing for Nintendo fans. The daggone Squid Kids Splatoon commercial. I crap, my throat tried out again. I literally am so damn neutral about that commercial. It's my least favorite, but I am like literally completely neutral about that commercial because I find the song itself to be annoying, but it does give me the nostalgia of the old Saturday morning cartoons I used to watch, which is why I guess I don't have so much of a problem with it. It's just that song is annoying, especially the ending to the song gets to be annoying, but that's that's neither here nor there. That's just my personal opinion. But we can move off of that. Now, the last thing I want to cover with Splatoon, yes, the game is not dropping with all of the content, and I kind of came in on the back end of that because I think I went to use the bathroom. I came back on the back end of hearing that. Now, yes, the game isn't dropping with all of the content, and yes, there's obviously content that was pulled so that they could keep updating it. I wouldn't call it DLC myself. I'd call it updates. It's literally weekly updates to add content to the game, which is probably already on the disc, and all Nintendo really needs to do is just put in an unlock code and it'll pop up for us to be able to use it. At least it's not being charged for. If it was being charged for, I would be fucking condemning the hell out of Nintendo for this game. But since it's not being charged for, I honestly don't care so much other than I'm just a little agitated. I don't get it when I want it, but I can be patient and wait out. Now, if there were people that actually believe that this stuff was being developed in a short time frame, I would say yes, they probably are very naive. I'm hoping that there's no one that actually believes that, and if there are people that actually believe that, that is freaking ridiculously sad in my eyes. But that also shows that they have a lot of faith in Nintendo. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Nintendo, but I don't think I have that much faith in Nintendo in that regard. I don't see them developing a whole map in a week's worth of time and then putting it out in the game and it being fully functional. I think they would need at least a month to test the game, to test the map, make sure there's no no game-breaking glitches in it, and that you're not going to fall through it once you walk off of your spawn point. But I don't know. That's just personally that's my take. And speaking on that, I would love a custom map designer in that game. That would make it so much more fun for me. That would make it so awesome. And Nintendo's been on this user content thing, so I would love to see that. That's personally me again. Oh, one thing I forgot to say about Splatoon voice chat. And I meant to say this. I'll say this. I'm neutral. Like I've said, I'm neutral on it. And I think most of what I'm seeing is that the neutral crowd is literally against the pro game chat crowd, which is weird. When you consider it, when so many people are neutral about it, but we're arguing back and forth over something that we can kind of all agree is okay for the game. Not everybody agrees that it's needed for the game, but we can all agree that it's kind of okay for the game. But there are people who have gone to Nintendo's YouTube page, not YouTube, Facebook page, and I think have sent them messages on Twitter to not include voice chat in the game at all. I've seen a couple of them. It's not like I've really sat there and like scoured through to see how many people said it or not, but I've seen a few of them myself, so I can verify that has actually come to pass. I know people have asked before, like, where are these people who say that they don't want voice chat in the game? We're not seeing it on YouTube, or at least we're not spotting it on YouTube because there's so many people talking about it. So it's probably like getting pushed by the wayside anyhow if it's on YouTube. Well, on Facebook, you can kind of see where it all is on Nintendo's page, or I think they have a Splatoon page. Either way, it has happened. That's all I really wanted to say about it. It has happened, and that's probably what people who are definitely pro voice chat are talking about. And it would seem to me that the neutral crowd is almost getting either the neutral crowd that is leaning toward not caring so much about voice chat is pretty much getting, from what I'm seeing, is being lumped in with the very small vocal community of people who don't want it in absolutely at all. And that's probably where the biggest disconnect is coming from. That's why I say it's weird, because it's not something that we should have to argue over at all. We shouldn't be arguing with each other over this. We're going to, probably because we're just super passionate on our stances, but we should not be arguing with each other over this. While it is inconvenient to have to use something else to chat, it can be done, and we'll just have to deal with it. If you're going to get the game and play it, we'll just have to deal with it one way or the other. So let's literally just move on from that. I'm not saying anything else about voice chat for this game after this point. I'm done with that subject. And for right now, I'm pretty much done with Splatoon. But I will say to people that disagree with having Nintendo add certain features to their console because they don't want it to be too much like Microsoft and Sony. I only have my Wii U for the games that can be provided by it, which is fine for me. But I do like some of those features, like, the on-screen notification. With the Wii U, there's an advantage to the fact that it has a gamepad. So if you're playing, looking at your television, you don't have to see the notification on your television at all. But a simple sound effect and like a notification popping up in like the one of the corners of the gamepad screen, so that if you actually want to look down at it, you can see it. That to me would be perfectly fine, and I think quite a few other people who want those notifications actually want it that way. I can't confirm this at all. I cannot. But I think that would work out fine. I already talked about party chat. And having a dedicated account system that works across everything would be great as well. Especially for content that is duplicated across the Wii U and a 3DS, or if someone has multiple 3DSs and they have a lot of digital content. Physical content, no, you can't replicate it. But if you have digital content, you should be able to have multiple copies of it on as long as you have multiple forms of a particular platform. Like in my house, there are 3 3DSs. One was just The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds Special Edition, and then 2 black new 3DS XLs. I have a whole lot of stuff on my 3DS XL that I would be able to put on my wife's 3DS XL, new 3DS XL, that I can't because the account is not unified in that way, and that basically is not allowed. Because it's all digital stuff, and the stuff I know she would like to play. Some of it is anyway, like Animal Crossing. I know she'd enjoy playing. I already got her Tamagotchi life, and she fucking spends hours on that game. And she has New Super Mario Bros. 2, which she plays a lot too. but I have several other smaller digital games on my account that I know she would enjoy playing if she had the opportunity to. But I also am not very willing to like buy those games over on the same account or set up a different account. Well, she's not really willing to set up a different account because she could have bought all this shit herself if she wanted. But but I'm not willing to set up another account in my name to get more stuff that I've already paid for more stuff that I've already bought, basically. I mean, that's about as far as that goes. But yeah, I probably should shut up on that. And if she hears it, she'll probably want to choke the shit out of me. But we as a community, Nintendo gamers, we have to stop being so vitriol to other people's opinions. It's something that disheartens me because I am a more vested Nintendo fan than I am a Microsoft or a Sony fan, or should I say Xbox or a PlayStation fan, because I'm not really a fan of everything Sony does, and I'm definitely not a fan of everything Microsoft does. But I appreciate what they offer, and I do see the things that they offer that Nintendo could implement and could be so much better at if they implemented it, and they could still do it in their own unique way without adhering to everything that Microsoft and Sony do. Hell, they already have an achievement system, and if you really want to know what the achievement system is like, go check out Shadow Fox Infinite. He has a video on it that literally breaks down how their achievement system is set up in Link to Miiverse. People just don't understand that that is an achievement system. It's just not one that tells you right off the bat everything that you have as far as achievements, but it does allow for you to have your own very own custom achievements, and allows you to show off and act like an ass in certain ways, and be like, be that guy that somehow had Ryu Hayabusa hanging off the side of a building and then just gotten 3 Razor's Edge, and nobody else could figure out how to do it. I don't think that's actually possible in that game. I'm just using that as an example. So don't go literal on me, people. That's my thing. I just want the Nintendo fan community as a whole to be more cohesive. We don't need to be sitting down yelling and screaming, arguing and insulting each other. We really don't need to be doing that. Actually, gamers in general don't need to be doing that. But that's going to happen because there's always going to be those people who are like, oh, my system is more powerful than yours. My system has more RAM than yours. My system has a bigger hard drive than yours. And I hope people understand that the fucking Wii U does not have a damn hard drive in it. It's flash fucking memory. They could expand that flash memory, surely, but it is not a hard drive. That was what made it not as expensive. It was one of the things that made it not as expensive. And here's another thing I gotta contest with my buddy Alex, and I've done it before talking to him, so I know he doesn't have a problem with me contesting this particular thing, even though he's on the opposite side of the fence on this particular thing with me with the Wii U. The Wii U cannot be underpowered based upon the specs of the PS4 and the Xbox One, because of the simple fact that the Wii U was made and on the market well before we heard anything about specs for the Xbox One or the PS4. Surely, yes, if Nintendo did not put as much money into research and development for the gamepad, they could have put more money into adding more cores to their processor, or maybe making their GPU a little bit better. But that's neither here nor there, because that's not what they did. They decided they wanted to go with a unique play style, and they wanted to try to balance out the inner workings of their console. it's still highly unique, and people still do not fully understand the tech within it. So I would not say it's underpowered in comparison to them. I would say it's more balanced than them, and it's far less power consuming, and people don't take that into account. Usually, to have all of those extra features and things, and to do all the crap that the PS4 and the Xbox One are capable of doing, you have to use a lot of power on top of having those the highly powerful components in your 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 system. Hell, in PC it's the same way, but there are people who build PCs that are balanced and aren't necessarily wholly about having the sharpest quality graphics, but about running it as stably as they can on less resources. And I think that's the approach that Nintendo has taken. Rather than spend more money on the hardware resources to improve the graphics, they spent more money on the hardware resources to balance out the console and to consume less energy to do the same things. And they've made note of saying this before. I can't remember who it was that exactly said it, but they were trying to basically get everything down to the point where they could do it on a hill. Which is why I don't think that the NX is going to necessarily just be a home console replacement. Because I think we're not too far from that technology being fully able to be utilized. And that's not me defending Nintendo having a console that is below in the specs. It's under the specs of the Xbox One and the PS4. That I'm not denying. But I'm also saying look at what it is doing with the resources it supposedly has. It's not necessarily anemic in comparison. Yes, it is lesser. I will say it is lesser. It is definitely on the lower end of the spectrum of the probably the CPU and the GPU. I don't even think it's really on the lower. It's lower on the GPU side. I think it's more or less on the CPU side where it was probably below what the Xbox One and the PS4 can do. That being said, the Xbox One and PS4 are good for what they are. And I know Alex disagrees with the PS4 part, but they're good for what they are. I don't see any, personally for me, I don't see any very many reasons to get a PS4. I do see more reasons to get an Xbox One because there's more stuff on the Xbox One that I kind of want, and I also still have an Xbox Live account, Xbox Live Gold account, which I'm able to, get the games with gold stuff, and when I get my Xbox One, all that stuff is going to download to my console. I don't have a PS Plus account, so that's probably also why I'm more leaning toward Xbox than Sony, than PlayStation. I think they're both good for what they are, though I just don't see much on the Sony side for me personally. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like somebody who's a Sony gamer probably won't see much on the Wii U for them. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm cool with that. You can spin the scenario any number of ways. It's fine. It's not a big issue. At least in my eyes, it's not a big issue. The only other thing I could say is that was touched upon in that podcast is I think the issues dealing with droughts. And I'll have to give a shout out to a guy, Liger, KD Flow. What is a drought is subjective to everyone, and we have all said this before. All of us have said this before, and I'm very certain all of us have said this before, or all of us have at least agreed to this, that what a drought is for anyone is subjective. For me, I don't For me personally, I don't see any droughts in games on the Wii U because I'm including the lesser known stuff. I'm not including the things that are more highly promoted. I am including the things that are more highly promoted and the things that are less promoted. So for me personally, I know that there's more stuff on the Nintendo Wii U than the people who don't own one at all or just aren't looking into the library of games that are on the Wii U. So, which is fine. Those people don't know that. It's because they choose not to know that. And like I said, for me, there's no drought on it. But just like for me, in that notion, there wouldn't necessarily be a drought on the Xbox One. For me, there would be a drought on the PS4 because there's not a lot of stuff that's of interest to me on the PS4 that I can't get anywhere else. See the point there? It's depending on what you're interested in. And like I said, we have all agreed to this. And I feel like we kind of went backwards on that. So that's why I brought it up. But we have all agreed to this at one point or another, I think. Now, like I said, I'm probably like the most super neutral Nintendo fan out there, if not one of them. I mean, I'm going to call out the stuff that I dislike about Nintendo, but I'm also going to give them praise where I feel like they deserve it, and I will contend things that people say where I feel like those things need to be contended. I'm not defending Nintendo because there are plenty of things that Nintendo does that are fuck ups in my eyes. But we've got to sometimes take ourselves back, and I think that subject matter was so heated with the split of Nintendo fan base because it bothers all of us. It does bother all of us. Whether or not we want to admit it openly, it does bother all of us that we are so divided on things that we should not be divided on. System features, we should all be together on that. Whether or not you want the system feature. We should all be together on that so that the people who do want it have the option of using it. And the people that don't want it can literally leave it off. That's all you have to do. That's all. It will either leave it off or turn it off. That's literally all that would be needed. And Nintendo can implement it because they have them damn advertisements pop up all the fucking time. And those things creep the shit out of me when I'm in the middle of doing something else and that shit just pops up with a noise. I'm like, what the hell is that? So Nintendo, y'all gotta stop doing that shit. Well, they're not going to. Whatever. But we should be, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a very selfish Nintendo fan. So we should be pushing for them to do more and to prove to us that they're better and that they can be better than the competition that they have. That's kind of what I want for them. Because I wanted that for Sega, and Sega did everything in the opposite direction of that, and that kind of pissed me off. But I know that Nintendo can do these things, and they can be great at them, which is where my frustration comes in with Nintendo. Because they have the capability, but it's almost as if they don't have the willingness, or they have not shown it as of yet in certain situations. But who knows? Like I said, there's the DNA partnership. And we don't know what's coming of that because we won't hear word about it until at least September, as far as I remember. And they are branching out into other things, so we'll just have to see what comes of it. Because obviously gaming alone is not going to be the only thing that they're making their money off of anymore. They've seen where the market is going, I'm assuming, and they're fail-safing themselves, which is something that I think both Microsoft and Sony should, well, maybe not Microsoft and Sony, but definitely Sony. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a realist on that. Sony is in dire straits when it comes to their finances. Nintendo not so much because they operate on a lower budget, so for them, having less money than Sony wouldn't really make much of a difference because they're operating on less of a budget than Sony is. And Microsoft, they just have so much money, I guess it doesn't really make much of a damn difference. So they can pretty much weather most of this shit unless literally everything Windows completely fucking crashes is inoperable. But I really think I'm pretty much done. And I'm sorry that this is so long. Hopefully you weren't sitting staring at your computer screen for 35 minutes, and we're literally maybe just listening. Because I would feel so guilty if somebody was just like sitting in front of their computer staring at the screen this whole time, or maybe they're like you're listening in and doing a whole bunch of other shit, and I'm sitting here rambling now. Shut up, Andre. Shut the fuck up. All right, all right. I know this was longer than that podcast too, so that's another reason I feel a little guilty. But like I said, I really didn't get to voice my thoughts the way I wanted to. Not because I couldn't, because if I was able to sit my ass down and hear everything that was said, I probably could have wrapped my points up pretty quickly. But I didn't, and that was my fault. That was definitely my fault on that front. I mean, there are personal things that were happening at the point in time, even though it was kind of late, where I kind of had to get up a few times, but I could have possibly set those things aside for a little bit and just kept up with the podcast so that I could make my points. So that's no one else's fault but my own. I will accept that fault. Y'all guys, I like all of you. Happy to sit in and have a conversation with you. And even once the podcast was over, we didn't even really talk about Nintendo after that. And that's the thing that really, that we really kind of, I wish that everyone could have heard that conversation afterwards. Because we generally, I think right after that was over, everybody's anxieties, I guess, were quelled for the moment, and everything was chill. It was really just chilled out. But nobody got to see that end, and that's, I guess, I didn't. That's why I'm making the point to say it, because it was like I hate getting tongue tied. We were literally, and I know I was kind of anxious in that too. It's like literally once that we got that out, or everybody got what they had to say out, they went back to chilling out with no problem. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is that we're all getting so wound up and we don't have to. I mean, I'm generally a chill back person any damn way, but even I got kind of wound up, and that's what made it so damn difficult to articulate sometimes. It's just like I look at this and I'm like, these are people who have my hobby. We're all gamers. We all enjoy games. Why are we bickering with each other? Why are we agitated with each other? Why are we letting stupid ass media shit fuck up how we enjoy our damn video games? And that's what's bugging me. Ugh. But that itself is a subject for another time. I really am done now. I'm sorry I just chewed your ears off for 3 more minutes. You guys just go go ahead and y'all just have a nice day, enjoy your games and shit, and y'all just chill out. Just chill out. Let's stop bickering. Let's stop arguing with each other. I mean, we can have discussions without arguing and fighting. So with that said, everybody, enjoy your shit. I'm done with this. Peace out.